तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखवितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss about types of devotion. So introduction. So basically, devotional service, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport of the third canto, chapter number 29, and verse number 8. He mentioned that devotional service is one. You cannot means it's only one kind of devotional service, but it depends on the variety of the devotional service depends on the consciousness of the practitioner. So that's very, very important to understand. So we cannot categorize the devotion, but actually it is about the practitioner's consciousness. That's what we are going to discuss. So now, why the devotional service is very, very important. So I think few days ago I was reading the news, some Google News came up, and there it was mentioned that almost 10,000 people are performing meditation for the peace in the world. And they were mentioning why. Then they were saying why 10,000. So then they figure out that 10% of the square root of the total population, if these many people perform devotional service, meditation, then it can bring a peace in the society. So that's what they were mentioning. So let's consider 8.1 billion, and if you find out the square root, it's about 90,000. The 10% is 9,000. So round figure 10,000 kar diya unhone. Okay. So anyway, outsider also think that if you perform meditation and all those things, then that will bring a peace in the human society. That's what the purpose is there. Now, if you see the relevance of this thing in our Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam, so even Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter verse number 5 that nahi kaschit sanam api jatu tishtati karma krita karyate hi avsa karma sarve prakriti jyar gune. Living entity is always active and it cannot remain without any activity even for a moment. So helplessly we have to do some activity. Now if we have to do helplessly any activity, then of course we will be bound by the reaction also. Then what activity we should perform? So then Krishna again says in the 3rd chapter, verse number 9, that yajna arthat karmana nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tad artha karma kante mukta sangha samachare. So here Krishna is talking about mukta, you will be free from all the reaction of all the activities. Whatever may be, sinful, pious activity, will be free from that. And if you go chapter number 4, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 16, that Krishna says, Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo apyatra mohita tatate karma pravakshami yad gatva mokshasya subhat. What activity we should do and what we should not do. Even the great personalities, kavayo means even the knowledgeable person also get bewildered. And that's why Krishna is telling, I will tell you what should be done and what should not be done. And by acting accordingly, you will be free from all the misery and attain the auspiciousness. So that's what he mentioned. So that's why, so now if you, so if you go through the Srimad Bhagavatam, when all the sages of Naimisharanya, and they are inquiring, putting the question against Sutta Goswami, and the first two questions were, what was the ultimate good for people in general, and what is conclusion of all the Vedic scripture. So in answer to that, and the Sutta Goswami says that Savya Pumsa Parodharma Yato Bhakti Radokshaje Ahetuki Apratihata Yatma Suprashidyati. So greatest welfare activity for the human being, parodharma of all the human being, all the living entity, is that Yato Bhakti Radokshaje, devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's, and what kind of devotional service? There he mentioned Ahetuki Apratihata Yatma Suprashidyati. So that should be Ahetuki, without any motive, and which should be continuous. It's not that I'm performing devotional service for 1 hour, then 1 hour I'm not performing and I'm doing some other activity. So that's why it is very, very important, even if you see the materialistic point of view also, and if you see our spiritual, of course, the Shastra, that is the ultimate good for the people in general, to perform a devotional service. And even, let's say, in Veda, there are so many activities are mentioned. So in that, so what is the purpose of doing all those activities? That is also given in the same Srimad Bhagavatam, same chapter. So Sutta Goswami says, Atha Pumbir Dvijasrishta Varnasram Vibhagasa Swanutishtasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So it is therefore concluded that highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste division and order of life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is again, performing the devotional service is mentioned. So now, what is a devotional service? So here it is mentioned in Narad Pancharatra and quoted by Rup Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the master of the senses. Okay. So when the spirit soul renders service unto Supreme, there are two side effects. One is, free from all designation. So Upadhi will be free from all the Upadhi, and his senses will become purified. So that is part of devotional service. Now what is Uttama Bhakti? So that is about now. So this basically, what is a pure devotional service comes Dev Mata Dehuti in the 3rd canto. After the departure, Vidurji is asking so many questions to Maitreya Rishi. So how Brahmaji created and all those things. In the due course of time, he asked the question, after creating Prajapati, how Manu did the expansion of living beings. So in that, he gives talks about the story of Swambhu Muni and Kardam Muni's marriage and all those things. And after Kardam Muni depart, so now after the birth of Lord Kapila, so Kapil Dev was there, and at that time Devahuti realized, Brahmaji has told her that one day, your son will give you knowledge and you will be delivered. So at that time Devahuti remember, and she asked so many wonderful questions about what is a bhakti, what is a yoga, and all those things. So in the due course of time, she first asked the question of pure devotional service. And in that chapter number, so that she asked in chapter number 25, then again, Lord Kapila answered all the questions about jnana, yoga, and all those things. Then in the chapter number 29, Mata Dehuti again asked, you have described so many, Sankhya yoga, then yoga, but now you describe me the bhakti, which is end of all those things, attaining the knowledge of Sankhya yoga, and all the philosophical thesis. That is bhakti is the end of. So please describe about that bhakti. So before that, while describing about pure devotional service, here Lord Kapila mentions so nicely, Devana Gunalinganam Anusra Vik Karmanam Sattva Evekana Manoso Vritti Swabhaviki Tuya Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti Siddher Garishyasi. So he says that senses are symbolic representation of the demigod, and the natural inclination is to work under the direction of the Vedic injection. So, as the senses are representative of the demigod, so mind is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mind's natural duty is to serve. And when the service spirit is engaged in the devotional service to personality of Godhead without any motive, that is far better even than the salvation. So even the engaging the mind, maya sakta man mana bhavat bhakto, engaging mind in the remembering Krishna in whatever way, how to perform devotional service, that is even better than salvation. So that's what we seeing in the Damodar Ashtakam, Varam Deva Moksham na Mokshavadimva. So even the devotee don't aspire for the liberation. So that is a pure devotional service. So now, if someone perform pure devotional service, so automatically, there are so many auspicious things will come up. So brings immediate relief from all kind of material distress. Klesagni, will go away. Then it's Subhada, brings all bring all auspiciousness, and it put us in transcendental pleasure. Okay, so and even it attracts the Krishna and it derides the liberation. So now, as we started with, so many people are there talking about how to bring positivity in the society, and coming out of a lot of problem. So if you perform pure devotional service, it will automatically come. So that is a conclusion. Even that's why Prabhupada also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, the preface, yeah, the last line he mentioned that. That's why he says that even if one person become pure devotee, then my endeavor will be successful. That's what he mentioned. And once, I think, I don't know, last Bhakti Vaibhav class or somewhere, Sarvam Prabhu was mentioning that still, we are able to survive in this earthly planet, in this Kali Yuga, because none around us are performing tapasya in Badrikashram. So that's the power of devotional service. So by the presence of one pure devotee, it brings so much auspiciousness. And that's why, it's very important to perform the devotional service, especially pure devotional service. At least if we can't perform, then at least let's aspire for the pure devotional service. That is also very, very important. So recently I was reading Leelamrit, I think 5th volume. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I was reading, Servant of the Servant books, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and there Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was mentioning in the beginning, he asked Srila Prabhupada, how many pure devotees are there in our movement? So then Prabhupada asked, how many people are there? 70, 50, yeah, those many pure devotees are there. So at least let's be connected with the movement, pure movement, then we'll be pure. If we'll connect, mango will remain connected with the branch, then in a due course of time it will be ripened. So, okay, we may not be able to perform, but at least we can pray the Lord, please award me pure devotional service. So I remember once upon a time, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was giving class, and in the class he was mentioning, we should pray to Krishna that, please award me pure devotional service. At least we should have that desire. And please protect me from the Maya and award me pure devotional service. That's what he mentioned. So as soon as we perform pure devotional service, automatically, as it is mentioned in 5.18.12 Srimad Bhagavatam, that Yasyastri Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana Sarve Gune Tatra Samasata Harava Samasata Mahatsura Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna Manorathena Dhautomahi. So if someone perform devotional service, then automatically attain all the good qualities which is mentioned in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll not go, but if you go through these qualities of the mentioned Srimad Bhagavad Gita, then all the problems of the society will be solved. So one day I was talking to one devotee, how just following strict brahmacharya, how it helped to whole society. At least that person will not be disturbance to others. So that's what I had a whole 2-hour conversation with that person, and later on he became devotee also. Just by that principle, how he started with the question, how brahmacharya are a burden in the society, and I end up conveying him the message that if you become good brahmachari, it will solve the problem all the problems of the society. Because you will be strict in a rules and regulation. You will not be, there are so many things, so you will develop so many other qualities like this thing. So that will be the cause. I'm not going in detail right now. So now, so when Devhuti Mataji asked the question, so in that, it's so Devhuti Mataji asked the question that, in that question about devotional service, so Lord Kapila start with different, but now the pure devotional service, of course, it's a very, very powerful. But in the devotional service also, the problem arises in the when the in devotional service also we have the separatist mentality. So Lord Kapila mentioned about this part. So in that, so that's how we begin in that bhakti yoga bahuvido bhager bhamini bhavyate swabhava guna bhagena pumsam bhavo vimidyate. So Lord Kapila, the person of Godhead, replied, "O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of the different quality of the executor." So the types we are going to see is not types of the bhakti, but as per the qualities of the executor. So that's what we discussed, right? How the Prabhupada mentioned the devotional service is one without second, but according to devotee's condition, devotional service appears in multifarious variety. Okay. So this is what he discussed. The devotion in the three modes. So in the 329.8, so he says that if someone is performing devotional service in mode of ignorance, so then he has a bhinnadrika, matlab, what is the separatist mentality, that devoid of compassion. So because of that, so what will be the nature of that particular devotee? So he says that intention of envy, violence, pride, and anger. So that will be there. So I can give an example. So how it is relevant? It's very important. I knew, that there was one devotee. He was married, and after marriage there are a lot of interference from counselor and all those things. So then devotee becomes so angry, and he says, "I pray that he die." Actually, this thing arise. If you see, these are practical thing. And another thing is, says, "I pray that he met very severe accident." And he was very disturbed because the interference was in very silly thing. Sasurji paisa deta hai. Then he says, counselor say, why are you giving him money? It's a family interference. So naturally, this thing arise. So this is a means. Of course, I'm not saying that was a gradually. So just like if you see the definition of pure devotional service, then it is anya abhilasita shunyam. So Ita mentioned that, like an example, it is given that for Draupadi, of course, when she was in difficult situation, she remember Lord, she prayed Lord, and Lord appeared. But that's not out, beyond the scope of pure devotional service. So here, I'm not saying that that's always that person is thinking, but these are the incidents. So that's what is mentioned in the 329.8, that abhisandaya yo himsam dambam marsyam evava samrambi bhinna drigabhavam mai kuryat sa tamasa. So devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. So now, that's what Prabhupada says, Vaishnava is one who has taken the Supreme Person of Godhead as the ultimate goal of life. But one is not pure and still has motive, then he is not a Vaishnava of the first order of the good character. So now why we are discussing this part? So it's very, very important, at least to check at least myself or ourselves, that where we are standing. Are we progressing? So this will be helpful us. Now, are we progressing in the devotional service? That's very, very important to know. And apart from that, it is very important for us that are we associating with the right person? That's also very, very important to know. Otherwise, if we don't, we don't know. So we don't have to advertise, oh, he is like that, he's like that. At least, at least we should be careful for ourselves. So that will be helpful. So he says that one may offer his respect to such a Vaishnava because he has accepted the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal of life, but one should not keep company with Vaishnava who is in the mode of ignorance. We must respect. So that is a point. So that's why we should study all those things. So even, so this is mentioned in Sarad Darshani by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that even in the tamasic bhakti also there are 3 levels. So this is the from Bruhad Narada Purana, it is mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, so who, O king, he who worship with the faith the Lord with the goal to destroy another person as a tamasic bhakti of low grade. So in that also, like ignorance, then ignorance, rajasic passion, and ignorance, goodness and ignorance, or that what we can, he's trying to mention that first class, medium, uttama, madhyama, and adama. So adama is mentioned who wants to destroy. And the second, it mention about cheating mentality. He doesn't want to destroy, but he has a cheating mentality. So he is of a medium grade. Then the highest type is, means it's a reverse order you have to see. No, highest matlab highest ignorance aisa nahi hai, but reverse type. So he says that he worship with a competitive mood. After seeing the worship of, so some are worshipping devta, so I can give very example. I was in Rajmandal Parikrama, and in that Raman Maharaj was mentioning this story of how Radharani, Chandravali, both are sister. So he mentioned the story of Himalaya. So she has a daughter Parvati, and she got married with Shiva. At that time, Shiva was the Lord Shiva was the feet of Himalaya. So then the Vindhya and Himalaya both are brother. But so Vindhya thought then, he was, his feet was washed by Lord Shiva. Now I want that some personality who is higher than him come and worship, wash my feet. So then Vindhya is performing tapasya to Brahmaji. Brahmaji appear and ask, what do you want? That then he narrated, Himalaya's feet was washed by Shiva. So I want that Vishnu come and wash my feet. Okay, so he mentioned this part. So then Brahmaji, okay, So then the two daughters are born. So suddenly one demigoddess appear. Sorry, the Rakshasi appear, and she took away both the children. They were so effulgent, so beautiful, both the daughter. She born to Vindhya, and finally, but they were so heavy that they both are. She could not handle, and they throw. So one fall at that. What is it called? Our Raval and Chandravali. So that's how born. So in that also there is a. So this is of course in devotion, but this way there may be a competition. He is performing, let me do. He is performing tapasya of Shiva, Brahma, let me worship Vishnu. So that way also people can come. So that is a third. So same Sarat Darshani, the following thing, Rajasic and Sattvic Bhakti is also 3 types. So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned. So now let's go for a devotional service in Rajasic mood. The practitioner is in Rajasic mood. So there is a Prithak Bhava is desire for the objects other than Lord. Means of course, I'm performing the devotional service, but I want something else than Lord. So that is a mentality. So what is that? I perform, that's what Krishna says in 7th chapter, verse number 16, that Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritina arjana artho arthati jigyasu jnanesha parasarsabha. So 4 kind of people come. So with a different mentality. So that's what is mentioned here. So same Kapil Dev here mentioned that Vishayan abhisandaya yasa eswaryam evava archadava acharyad yomam pruthak bhava sa rajasa. The worship of deities in the temple by separatists with the motive for material enjoyment, fame, opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. So, so sometime, if you want to sing, when the most crowd is, temple is crowded with the people, and mandir mein koi nahi to koi gana nahi chahta. So that way also it comes, right? So that's why. So we have to understand that why we are doing. So that's very, very important to understand. We are performing this devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord, or to attract the people, or to glorify the Lord, or to glorify ourselves. So that's very, very important to know. So that is what is mentioned here. Okay, so someone wants to have a material enjoyment. So थोड़ा अच्छा पोस्ट मिल जाएगा, बैठे रहेंगे एसी में, ऑर्डर करते रहेंगे, सब मिलता रहेगा, material facility. So that's what happened. Then fame, Swami ji सब लोग करते हैं, people Swami ji, weeds, they end up in the weeds rather than the bhakti. Okay, then opulence, I think मंदिर में हम बाहर वालों से ज़्यादा opulence में रहते हैं, right? So opulence is there, so we should not stuck up there. So to understand this part, we are not ending up in all those things. That's why it's very important to understand. So based on these 3 Rajasi, it is, of course, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's in commentary, I try to find out how the 3 grades are there. I could not find detail, but I put a verse, then I found out somewhere that if someone is desiring for a fame, so then is like, adama, material enjoyment, then is like adama rajasic bhakti. Adama rajasic bhakti. Then if someone is asking for a fame and opulence, then madhyama rajasic bhakti. And then he want to like free from some higher position or something, then it is called what is it, goodness, sattva rajasic bhakti. So that is what is described. So now in the purport, Prabhupada so nicely writes that Bhinnadrika or Pruthak Bhava or separatist is one who sees his interest as a separate from that of the Supreme Lord. So here, of course, in the story of Vindhya, of course, he wanted to daughter such that Vishnu was his fate. I don't know how to consider that as a devotion, because Lord Vishnu is worshipping, but of course he wanted to establish some sambandha with Vishnu. In that sense, I consider as a devotion. Then, of course, the separated mentality is mujhe puja labh mile. So then, mixed devotee or devotees in the mode of passion and ignorance think that interest of the Supreme Lord is supplying the orders of the devotee. So they think, Bhakta order. Prabhupada says many times mention, God is not your order supplier. But these kind of people think that God is order supplier. So that's what they mention. Okay. The interest of such a devotee is to draw from the Lord as much as possible for their sense gratification. So even in the bhakti also we have to see, many times, दान दक्षिणा आती है, many people go for a program because दक्षिणा मिलती है, दक्षिणा नहीं मिलेगी तो नहीं जाएंगे. So that is also very important. So devotee should not wish anything but to execute the desire of the Supreme. That is oneness. So here Prabhupada mentioned that sometimes Mayavadi people talk about we become one with the God, but here Prabhupada mentioned about that to execute the desire of the Supreme, that is oneness, not that merging with the Lord. So when the devotee has interest or will different from the interest of the Supreme Lord, his mentality is that of separatist. And when the so-called devotee desire material enjoyment without reference to the interest of the Supreme Lord, or he wants to become famous or opulent by utilizing the mercy or the grace of the Supreme Lord, he is in the mode of passion. So a pure devotee has no interest but to act on behalf of the Supreme Lord. And when one has even a tinge of personal interest, his devotion is mixed with the three modes of material nature. So that's what he mentioned. So then again, now he talks about, Lord Kapila talks about devotion in the mode of goodness. So Pruthak Bhav is desire for liberation. So what is the nature of the devotee? So desire to free himself from the karma, offering result to Lord. It's not by mistake. Yeah. Offering result to Lord and worship the Lord as a duty. So this thing again, it's like it's ascending from fear to love. Someone worship out of fear, but here someone is desiring to free, and he feel duty bound. So that is what is mentioned here. So that's what he mentioned here, that when devotee worship the Supreme Person of Godhead and offer the result of his activity in order to free himself from the inebrities of the fruitive activity, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. See, we want to free from the karma bandhana, karmic reaction, or and we it's not there. Then we feel that it's my duty to serve the Lord. So that is also there, and in there also there are two categories. Someone mentioned that Prabhupada mentioned in the I think 4th chapter 38 verse that there are three levels of someone has a faith in the Lord, but he may not have Shastra, but he does not believe in the God. So here that it was mentioned that someone worship the Lord, but he doesn't have a proper understanding. Now, why should we perform devotional service? Who is the Supreme Lord? But why should we perform devotional service? What is the importance of the devotional service? But he still perform devotional service because of faith or adho-shraddha, whatever you can say. And there are some people who have faith in the out of duty, they perform devotional service. So that way also you can say adhama sattvic, madhyama sattvic, and uttama sattvic. So that way there are three. So that's what Prabhupada mentioned in the Prabhupada. The Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra, along with the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanprastha, Okay, all this ashram, when such activities are performed and result are offered to the Supreme Lord, they are called karma arpanam, duties performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. If there is any inability or fault, it is atoned for by their offering process. So they utilize as a atonement process. The four ashramas, four varnas act for some benefit in accordance with their personal interest. Therefore, such activities are in the mode of goodness. They cannot be counted in the category of pure devotion. Pure devotional service, as described by Rupa Goswami, is free from material desire. Okay. So then again, Prabhupada mentioned that all those things, 3 into 3, 9. So there are 9 processes of devotional service. Sravanam, we begin with Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Shivanam. So if you multiply it, then it becomes 81 types of mixed devotion. That's what he writes in the purport of 3, 29, 10. So someone, bolte hai na, offer the prayers to the Lord, kill him. So it may happen. So I have seen personally such an example. And कभी कभी मुझे भी विचार आया है बहुत बार, कभी कभी नहीं. So to be honest, so one has to transcend all such a mixed materialistic devotional service in order to reach the standard of pure devotional service. The 4 ashramas and 4 varnas act for some benefit in accordance with their personal interest. Therefore, such activities are in the mode of goodness. They cannot be counted in the. I think I repeated this. Sorry. Yeah. So again, so if you perform devotional service, pure devotional service, then definitely we attain all those good qualities, beginning from Abhayam, Sattva, Samsuddhir, Jnana, Yoga, Vyastha, all the divine qualities we attain. Then in the pure devotional service, there will not be any separatist mentality. So if we measure ourselves with those mixed type of devotion and compare with the pure devotional service, then we can see where we are progressing. And if we develop this quality, actually most of the problem arise because of the separatist mentality. होता है ना हमारा कभी कभी आश्रम में, ठीक है आज I'll not go to class, we make our own schedule. Personally, I also do many times. I know that. So that is also separatist mentality from Prabhupada, is small way. So that will not help us. So in conclusion, why make all this analysis of 81 varieties of motivated devotion to the Lord is, it is important for ourselves, I already mentioned, to see where our devotional are manifested in our daily lives. If you want to perfect this process of sadhana bhakti and finally arrive at the lotus feet of the Lord in Vaikuntha. So that is, the idea is that by understanding symptoms of 3 modes and contamination they introduce, we may gradually learn to avoid this influence. We understand, aisa bhi ho sakta hai. Okay. So by first progressing from ignorance to patience, then from patience to goodness, and finally purifying ourselves from subtle contamination of goodness and reaching the transcendental stage. So we should be aware of this to get right association, otherwise we may fall in trap of Kali on the name of devotional service. Right? Recently, it's a big issue had happened, right? Yes. And this Shastric explanation will guide us to Lord by our past Acharya, starting with Srila Prabhupada. If we remain blind to their warning, then we have only our ignorance to blame for our shortcomings. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any question, comment, feedback?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So very nicely you have presented and prepared this presentation, and you have included various aspects like characteristics of pure devotional service also you mentioned, and you also mentioned how one who does devotional service. Feedback.
Harish Ru. So you mentioned about tamasic bhakti. So in case of Arjuna, he went Swargaloka for collecting this Divyastra.
Pardon?
He went Swargaloka. Mostly he worshipped demigods for collecting Divyastra, all these things, for this Kurukshetra war. So he was a pure devotee, but how he his connections?
No, actually he went under the guidance of Lord Krishna, right? He didn't go independently.
Okay.
So
Under the guidance of Krishna, we can
yeah,
pray
that
ki enemy can be killed.
Of course, any killing means even he killed also, right?
Yeah.
So perfect. So that's what Draupadi surrendered to Krishna by raising the hand, and Arjuna surrendered to Krishna by raising the bow. So it can be. It
Yeah,
comes
we
in.
can pray, right, Lord.
Huh? What?
No, we can pray
Yes.
under the guidance of Lord.
Yes.
Ki enemy should be killed or will be killed. So
Huh?
it's bhakti comes under the Tamsi bhakti or which?
So now for this I can state one example of Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvit Thakur. When snake came, it even I think comes in the 7th canto. Prahlad Maharaj also mentioned, right? So, yes, about snake, that should we kill or not? Then Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvit Thakur says, snake kind of people should be killed, but it should be under the someone is guiding. It's not independent. We have to take. Generally, we don't do this thing, but it should be under the guidance. Yeah, and we cannot answer also this thing in public. Okay. Yes.
So then I was saying, and many personal application points also you mentioned, and also like devotional service in uh, various modes and like that. One thing I was expecting was, what if somebody fails during this process of devotional service? Then still there is no loss, and that verse in Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says. Otherwise, it was very nice and nicely prepared.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Manmohan Krishna, thank you for well prepared presentation on this topic of the types of devotional service. And so you described all the 3 types of mixed devotional service, their characteristics, and so you had some points for personal application, so association, and also to judge one's own spiritual progress. Also some points for preaching application. You had distinguishing Mayavad oneness and this Bhinnadrik that is spoken of in these verses, and also to bring about peace in the world. But I've definitely felt that one thing which should definitely have been included is pure devotional service, which Lord Kapila is speaking about. After these 3 types of devotional service, then he's speaking about pure devotional service elaborately, right? So that should also be included, isn't it? So that's an important aspect of the various types of devotional service. The ultimate goal is to come to the platform pure devotional service. So describing that was definitely very important. And another very important aspect which almost you missed out actually is maybe indirectly you spoke something, but not directly, Srila Prabhupada's mode and mission, and to bring everyone to the platform of pure devotional service. That's what Srila Prabhupada very emphatically propagated throughout the world and preached pure devotional service, and wanted us to give up all these types of mixed devotional service. So that was definitely another very important aspect. And of course, the effects of the practice of mixed devotional service in contrast to practice of pure devotional service. So these are some definitely some additional points which could definitely have been. And for all these various types of devotional service, you were trying to give some contemporary examples, but we could definitely have given Shastric examples for all of them. There are Shastric examples, so that would have been more appropriate. Otherwise, whatever you presented was nice, systematic, and things were quite clear. So let's show appreciation to Manmohan Krishna. Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Any comments?
No, thank you, Guruji.
Okay.
Thank you for nice feedback. I'll take care next time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine Vancha Kalpataru Braksha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. First of all, I would like to seek permission and blessings from all the devotees, all the senior devotees specifically, to speak on this subject. So we are discussing on the topic of the purpose of saintly persons traveling. So we will discuss about this great personality Vidura from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So just to give some background of this pastime. So we know this is a well-known pastime, that how Yamaraj was actually cursed. Some other are mentioned, Prabhuji. Vidura, Sukadeva Goswami, and Narada. These three. Yes, Prabhuji. I'll try. So just to give a background of Vidura, so he was Yamaraj, right? Yamaraj is appearing as Vidura because he was cursed by Manduka Muni for a wrong judgment, as per him. So Vidura was born in a royal family, of course, but he was born to a Dasi Putra. He was a Dasi Putra. So he did not claim anything on the throne legally, but he was very much loved by his elder brother Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra very much kind of had some affection for him. He took care of him nicely like that. So Vidura, of course, he was very learned and he constantly gave guidance to Dhritarashtra time and again, not to plot against the Pandavas like that. Of course, but later on, as we see that how Vidura was kind of harshly chastised and insulted by Duryodhan, and that was a time he took it as a divine arrangement of the Lord, and he leaves. He leaves that place. He travels to many, many holy places, and it is mentioned that, of course, he was a saintly person himself, but still he goes out and travels to other holy places to seek association. He meets Maitreya Muni there, and they have deep spiritual discussions among them. So we can see that here how Vidura is actually seeking spiritual development and purification, though he himself is a great devotee. So now is the time when this tour was going on and the war is over, the Kurukshetra battle is over, and now he comes back to Hastinapur again, and he kind of rebukes Dhritarashtra that you are still here, reminding him that all his sons and grandsons had died because of his blind support to Duryodhana all the while. So he called Dhritarashtra very shamelessly, you are still living in the palace. Like that kind of, he tries to destroy his attachments. So there, when he comes back, when Viduraji comes back, Yudhishthira Maharaj is kind of speaking to him, he is welcoming him. So he is telling many, many verses, very beautiful verses, that how Vidura actually always stood by the side of Pandavas. He was always there for them in the time of difficulty. He protected them. So there in the 13th chapter, he speaks of this very beautiful verse, which is a well-known verse, the 10th verse of 13th chapter, Canto 1. So he says, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Shantasthena Gadabhrataha. So he speaks of this very beautiful verse. So this verse explains that how people like Vidura, they're actually the holy places personified. They even purify the places of pilgrimage. Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani. Because Swantasthena Gadabhrata, because they are having the Lord Gadabhrata in their hearts, always. So when they go to holy places, they actually purify even the holy places. So he says that My dear Lord, he's addressing to Vidura that like your good self are very holy place personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into place of pilgrimage. So Prabhupada writes a very beautiful purport to this particular verse. He explains that how he says that he gives an example, just like the electricity as a power is actually present everywhere, it's distributed everywhere, but it can be perceived through a bulb or any electronic device. So he gives an example like that, Srila Prabhupada, and he says that the Lord is present everywhere, he is omnipresent, but the Lord's mercy or his omnipresence is manifested and perceived through his unalloyed devotees. Like that, Prabhupada gives an analogy here to explain that how a devotee like Vidura is actually the one who is manifesting the Lord, and the presence of the Lord can be very much felt in the heart of the unalloyed devotees. So he travels everywhere and gives Krishna to everybody. So of course, he later in the other part of the purport, he explains the importance of the holy places. The holy places are actually not meant for picnic or just sightseeing or doing some purchase. They are meant to search out for a holy person like Vidura and hear from them. So he explains like that the later part of the purport. So Yudhishthir is telling to Vidura that you don't need to go to holy places. Your presence sanctifies them. So, of course, Narottam Das Thakur has sung a song in which he says that a very non one. Tirtha yatra parishrame kevala manera brahme. So, going to pilgrimage is just a mental satisfaction. Real holiness of the holy places in the holy man, he says. That a holy devotee actually makes the holy place holy. If we just go to a holy place and we do not seek the association of devotees there and hear from them, then it just remains unholy. So a pure devotee, carries Krishna in his heart, and wherever he goes, he presents Krishna to everybody and makes that place holy. So there is a lecture on this particular verse which Srila Prabhupada gave in Geneva in June. So there he mentions, he quotes many other references for this verse. He says that how the Lord is actually present in the heart of a devotee. So he quotes from Brahma Samhita, Preman jana churita bhakti vilochanena, Santa sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti, Yam shama sundaram achinta guna swarupam, Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Shanta Shadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So the Lord is always, they see the Lord always in their hearts. They can perceive the Lord in their hearts. Yam Sam Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Swarupam. So like that he explains. And of course, not just in their heart, the pure devotees can actually see the Lord everywhere. That's why it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sthavara Jangame Dekhe Na Dekhe Tare Murti Sarvatra Haya Nija Ishta Deva Spurti. So actually the pure devotees can, not just in their hearts, but they can see the Lord everywhere, because they are Mahabhagavats. So ordinary people, they visit the holy places and they take bath in the holy rivers there. And it is said that Prabhupada explains in this particular lecture that they kind of contaminates these holy places, the holy rivers, by their sins. They kind of dump down their sins there. And of course, that's not going to help them, because they still continue to be offensive. Even after they give up their sins in these holy rivers, they still continues to be offensive. So these holy places, they accumulate sins over a period of time and they become spiritually burdened. And the holy devotees actually comes and purifies them. So Krishna within their heart actually purifies them. So they stay pure, all these holy places. Yeah. So, of course, the later slokas in this section, they explain that Kanchit kalam athavasit satkrato devavat sukham Bhratur jeshthasya shreyaskrat sarvesham sukhamavaham. So he says that Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsman, remained there for a certain period. So, of course, he did stay there in the palace, the royal palace. He came back. So this verse explains that the purpose of his stay there was not to enjoy those royal facilities. Vidura, who had already become renounced, he did not come back to this Hastinapur just to enjoy some worldly facilities. He came there just to save his eldest brother, the mentality of his eldest brother, and thereby brought happiness to not just to Dhritarashtra by enlivening him, but to everybody else there. So Prabhupada writes a very beautiful purport here. He says that Vidura has already renounced, and now he comes back just for only one purpose alone, just to save his eldest brother, Dhritarashtra. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is offering hospitalities to Vidura as he came, and they are kind of very happy to see him again. So they are offering all kind of hospitalities, but Vidura is not interested in them. He kind of, as a matter of etiquette, he's just accepting them, whatever they offer. But he has not come here for that purpose. He has a different purpose to come back. So, because Dhritarashtra was very much materially attached, he wanted to help him out to get detached and achieve the goal of life. So Vidura particularly came to enlighten Dhritarashtra and to give him a lift to the higher status of spiritual cognition. It is the duty of the enlightened souls to deliver the fallen ones, and Vidura came instructing Dhritarashtra in this way. So that was the reason. So spiritual enlightenment are so refreshing, it is said. So in this particular pastime, when Vidura is speaking to Dhritarashtra, those enlivening words, so everybody else is also hearing. And the glory of devotional service, the Krishna Katha, and the topics of devotional service is explained here, that how that when Vidura was explaining all these topics to Dhritarashtra, the others were also taking part in them. They were hearing patiently, because it was so refreshing to hear all this, what Vidura was telling to them. This is the way of spiritual realization. So the message should be heard attentively, and if spoken by a realized soul, it will act on the dormant heart of the conditioned souls. We also see sometimes that after the Bhagavatam class, many of the devotees will surround the speaker and they want to hear. Of course, somebody else is asking question, but it is so refreshing to hear that everybody else gets benefited. So I was just reading some of the conversations and morning walks of Srila Prabhupada. There he kind of tells the devotees that some devotees were walking behind Prabhupada, just near to his, just very close to him. And when he will suddenly stop, some will kind of it will become like a push or something. So Prabhupada would tell them that stay away a little far. So of course the devotees were very eager to hear what Prabhupada is going to say the next moment. So everybody was flocking together with Prabhupada. So of course we find a similar reception in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where advised or requested by Vasudev, Garg Muni actually visits Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj welcomes Garg Muni in the 10th canto 8th chapter 4th verse. He says that Mahad Vichalanam Narinam Grahinam Dina Chetasam Nishreya Shaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyatha Kvachit. So he says this beautiful shloka that you are Dina Chetasam. What is the hope for grastas like us until unless the saintly people they come to our home and enlighten us? So like that, he is glorifying Garg Muni. So the later part of this lecture, Prabhupada, towards the end, which he gave in Geneva in 1974, he explains that every one of you should become pure devotee. He kind of telling to all the devotees who are sitting there, every one of you should become a first-class devotee. First-class devotee, and then he tells what is a first-class devotee. He says that simply keep yourself cleansed, not to indulge in the 4 regulative principles, the prohibitions, and chant Hare Krishna. And then you will be first-class devotees. And wherever you will go, you will be able to purify there. So he's saying that you all become pure devotees. And just like Vidura is purifying the holy places, so you go all over and purify those places. And that's what we saw. What happened, Prabhupada sent many of the married couples to London and many other places, and how those places kind of got the bhakti, right, eventually. So wherever you go, wherever you speak, wherever you will sit. So keep the spiritual strength intact. Tirthi bhutaha, tirthi kurvanti tirthani. So, of course, he says that the Hare Krishna chanting means keeping Krishna within the heart. So, so it is the responsibility of the followers of Krishna consciousness movement that Prabhupada want all the devotees to become pure and then make the other places pure. So there was this is the memory of Param Pujya Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. He was sharing that how Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, his health was not very good. We know that heart attack and those his heart was weak and he was not feeling very good. So there he kind of writes a letter to his god brother, uh, to Sridhar Maharaj. He writes a letter and he expresses his desire that what if I leave my body here like this in this place, so which is far away from the dham, the holy dhams. And then Sridhar Maharaj replies back to Prabhupada saying that Srila Prabhupada, I mean, he said that wherever you are, that is Vrindavan, that is a holy place. Of course, Prabhupada later, he did leave his body in Vrindavan very gloriously. But the thing is that wherever the Lord, wherever the devotee goes, the pure devotee, he makes those places holy. Just as Yudhishthir says that a devotee makes a place holy, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing in this particular purport that a pure devotee carries Krishna wherever he goes. And Srila Prabhupada did transform those places wherever he traveled. So like Vidura was fully detached, he did not had any family or social obligations. He just depended on the Krishna and Guru's order. So Prabhupada did the same also. Also we see the example of so this comes in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we know this episode where many the Sagar Maharaj sons and they were all had to be liberated. Then many people they tried in their lineage, and finally Bhagirathi was kind of like little successful in getting Mother River Ganges to this world. But then she had two conditions. She said one of the condition was that people are so sinful here in Kali Yuga, and if they take bath in my water, then they will all overload me with the sins. So there he speaks a wonderful words, Bhagirata. He says in the 9th canto, 9th chapter, 6th verse, he says that Sadhavo nyas nashinaha shanta brahmishta loka pavakaha haranti agamte angasparshaha teshvastehi agabhidhari. So he says that just by anga sangat, just by the devotees touching your water, the pure devotees, you will get purified. You'll get purified of all those sins which people will dump in you. Like that he speaks. So this was in context with Vidura. Now the second example is of Sukdev Goswami. So we know this pastime comes in the very first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Maharaj Parikshit gets cursed and he is going to die in the 7 days. So then he is seeking the association of sages, he is inquiring from them. He expresses his desire to hear Hari Katha, and then by the arrangement of the Lord, Sukadeva Goswami comes there into the assembly. So of course Bhagavatam describes the bodily features of Sukadeva Goswami and how Parikshit Maharaj receives Sukadeva Goswami. So there are a couple of verses here, very beautiful verses. So Parikshit is saying, Aho adya vayam brahman sat sevaya kshatra bandhava kripaya titha rupena bhavadbhis tirthaka krita. So this shloka is very important because here Parikshit Maharaj is speaking to Sukadeva Goswami and he is saying that Aho adya vayam brahman sat sevaya kshatra bandhava. So he is calling himself as Kshatra Bandhava. So just like Brahman Bandhava, so like that Kshatra Bandhava. So he's saying that my ancestors They are very glorious, but I am just a Shatra Bandhava. I am very unfortunate. But because you have come here, Kripaya Athitha Rupena, you have come as a guest, you have come as a Athithi now, you have made this place, or you are practically making us like onto a place of pilgrimage. Just you are coming here is making the whole place as a place of pilgrimage, just by your presence as a guest. By your mercy, we who are but unworthy royalty have become eligible to serve the devotees. Like that, so Prabhupada writes a very nice purport to this particular verse. He says that he gives an example of Maharaj Pratap Rudra. He says that Pratap Rudra was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but when he wanted to see the Lord kind of was not ready. He was not very much ready in the very beginning. And here we see, because the Lord does not want to meet anybody who is a materialistic person, especially somebody who is desiring to go to back to Godhead. They should keep away from these two things, which is wealth, worldly enjoyments, and women. So that's why Lord Chaitanya did not want to meet Pratap Rudra. But here, in context to that, we see in this example that how Sukhadev Goswami is coming all the way and he is meeting Parikshit Maharaj. So it is very different as we see here, because Prabhupada explains that because Parikshit Maharaj is a great devotee, although he is a king, and therefore Sukhadev Goswami come to see him in last stage of his life when he needs him the most. Out of his devotional humility, though he is expressing this feeling of Shatra Bandhava and like that, but actually he is very great as his predecessors, like the Pandavas. So he felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into the place of pilgrimage. So this is a very nice shloka. And of course he goes on glorifying. Sukdev Goswami says, Yesham samsparanat pumsa sadhya sudhyanti vaigraha kim punam darshana sparsha padasocha sanadibihi. So he says that simply by our remembering you, our house has become sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your feet, and offering you a seat in our home. Kim punar darshana sparsha. Just by remembering you, we have become purified. What to speak of taking your darshan, giving you a seat in our home to sit like that. So he's further glorifying. Prabhupada writes a nice purport to this. He says that if such saints appear in the homes of worldly people, certainly the accumulated sins of such worldly enjoyers become neutralized. So this is one purpose for which the devotees, sometimes sannyasis and great devotees, they travel to the house of a householder. So this is the purpose. Because the holy saints actually have no self-interest with the householders. They have nothing to give and take with them. But their only purpose to go and be there in their home is just to sanctify the house of the householder. And the householder feel very grateful when such saints and sages appear at their doors. We can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya comes and he gives an invitation to Lord Chaitanya for 30 days. He says, for the whole month, you please come to my home for the lunch. Of course, Lord Chaitanya kind of negotiates and then they settle for 5 days. But the point is, the householder who dishonors such holy orders is a great offender. So actually, they are very welcoming. So sometimes people may criticize a sannyasi going to other people's home, but it is not for his personal benefit. So even if somebody has to travel to somebody's house, we have to see that it is, we are going to benefit them. We have nothing to take and give with them. Just to enliven them, enlighten them, and elevate them, somebody may go. And then he speaks one more shloka. He says, Sanidhya te mahayogin, patakani mahayanti api, sadhyo nashyanti vaipumsam, vishnureva suretaraha. So he says that just as the atheist cannot remain in the presence of personality of Godhead, so also the invulnerable sins of a man are immediately vanquished in your presence, O great mystic. So Prabhupada says here, he says that a ghost cannot remain as soon as the holy name is chanted. He gives this example in the purport that when the holy names are chanted, the ghost cannot remain. So I was reading this pastime of Srila Prabhupada in this connection, which is mentioned in the book The Great Transcendental Adventure by Kurma Prabhu. So he writes this, that how Srila Prabhupada once was recalling his stay in John Lennon's estate in London. So there he was telling that in London there are so many ghosts. And as the devotees crowded around him, they complained, Sir, here in the house a ghost comes every night. So I advised them to chant Hare Krishna and the ghost went away. So, of course, he explains that wherever there is a holy name of Krishna chanted, then the ghostly demonic living entities cannot stay there. They just at once they leave that place. But something very interesting here in this particular purport, he says that not just the holy name, but the holy devotees are also listed in the entourage of Krishna, in the paraphernalia of Krishna. So when the holy devotee also, when they are present, the ghostly sins are at once vanquished. The ghostly sins, they are destroyed when the holy devotees are present. That's why we are recommended to take the association of the devotees. So I'm just reading some more translations. There are some more beautiful verses here. So he says, otherwise, how is it that you have voluntarily appeared here? How is it that you have voluntarily appeared here? All of a sudden, I'm in need, I'm about to die now, and by Krishna's arrangement, this is nothing but the Lord's arrangement. That's what he says here. As soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very good to come back home, back to Godhead, he actually at once sends his bona fide representatives. We can see in this pastime that how the devotees travel. We can see in the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj, he is having some desire to get Lord Vishnu in the 4th canto. So there Narad Muni comes and enlightens him. So here also similar thing, that Sukdev Goswami is coming and enlightening Parikshit Maharaj. So sometimes people ask, there is a, they ask this question that what if people get cheated? There is a conversation, a reporter is asking Prabhupada, what if a person gets cheated by fake gurus? Then Prabhupada says that actually if a person is sincere, then Krishna will arrange a bona fide person for him. So like that, there are more verses, but I'm skipping them now in interest of time. Let's discuss about Narad Muni. So it is mentioned in the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the 6th chapter, 31st verse. So I'm not mentioning the context. The context is that just Narad Muni, how he became Narada from Narada boy. And now he's kind of telling to Vyasdev the story, how he became Narad Muni. So there he quotes the shlokas at the end of the conversation. He says, Antar Bahishcha Lokam Strin Paryemya Akhandita Vritaha Anugrahan Mahavishnur Avigata Gatir Kvachit. So he says that by the grace of the Lord, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. So all the great authorities in devotional service, this is from the purport of Lord, follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni. So here Prabhupada urges us to follow Narad Muni and his teachings in Narad Bhakti Sutra. So he kind of urges the followers to read those teachings and follow the Narad Muni's example. Some more verses, I'm skipping them, some of them. He says that I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called Veena. So that Veena was gifted to him, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given by me, by Lord Krishna. So there is a wonderful song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Narada Muni bajaye Veena Radhika Ramana Name Nama Amani Udita Haya Bhakata Gita Same. So it says that when the great soul Narad Muni, he plays his Veena, the holy name Radhika Raman descends and immediately appears amidst the kirtan of the Lord's devotee. So in this way, Prabhupada is kind of elaborating here in the purports very amazing lessons that as a pure devotee of Lord, Shri Narad Dev is always fulfilling his obligations to the Lord for his gift of the instrument, and he plays the instruments and he goes and out of compassion he delivers the jivas. So there are many examples in context with Narad Muni, how he helped Dhruv Maharaj, how he helped Prahlad Maharaj, how he helped Vyasdev, and then King Chitraketu. What are some other examples? Prachetas, Cobbler, Mirgari, yeah, like that. Many examples are there. So, yeah, so I thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not wishing to meet Prataprudra Maharaj. But you told that Sukdev Goswami wanted to, like, you're drawing a parallel that Sukdev Goswami went to meet Parikshit. So is it, I mean, I thought that it was like Sukdev Goswami just happened to be there or something like that. Like, he came to approach Parikshit or what, like, just wanted to, like,
Yeah, so this is actually mentioned here in the purport itself. Srila Prabhupada writes to 1932 in the purport. I'm just reading it as it is. Saintly devotees like Sukdev Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in royal orders. Maharaj Prataprudra was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but when he wanted to see the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyers and women. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Sukdev Goswami are never interested in seeking kings. So till here one example, and then he says about Parikshit Maharaj. He says Maharaj Parikshit was of course a different case. He was a great devotee, although a king, and therefore Sukdev Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, he felt himself unworthy, and he was, though, a great devotee also. Though he thought himself as unworthy, but he was very great, as great as Pandavas.
can I go, Prabhuji? Somebody else can. So it was a very amazing delivery. Many nice points you had covered, especially covering the flow of how Vidura came to meet Dhritarashtra, deliver him. You also told the practical application points, preaching application, and also elaborated on the lecture given by Srila Prabhupada, Geneva. And of course, you gave the main why devotees, saintly devotees travel, that is for, yes, giving Krishna to others. So, very nicely elaborated and quoted many Sanskrit verses. So, overall, it was a very nice, fantastic presentation. Only I just thought that if you could have presented it on the screen also, so that we also could have participated in your whatever hard work you had done. So we also could have seen some Sanskrit shlokas, and that would have been more. Otherwise, it was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So Panchatattva Kripa Prabhu, thank you for all your endeavors in coming up with this presentation. And we definitely appreciate you made a lot of endeavors to refer to Prabhupada's purports, conversations, lectures, and many other things, and you came up with various points, and you spoke something about Srila Prabhupada's pastimes and things. At the same time, there are some more very important points which should have been covered. So, like you see in the case of Vidura, so the beginning of the third canto, we find how Vidura has been insulted by Duryodhan, and then Vidura keeps his bow, and then Vidura leaves. And then when Vidura leaves, then he travels to various holy places. And so, what does he do in those various holy places? Right, there's a description there. What does he do? And then there's important points from Srila Prabhupada's purports over there. Then after that, we find Vidura on his travels. Then he comes to know about the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty and how the war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas and all of them had been killed. And then when he reaches Hastinapur, and Yudhishthira Maharaj asks him various questions about the welfare of so many people. And at that time, Vidura, he does not tell about the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. And there Srila Prabhupada again describes about his sensitivity in dealings, because he felt bad news will reach anyways. So you understand what is supposed to be covered? So this is his travels. This is what is being described in those travels. And then finally he comes to Hastinapur and deliverance of Dhritarashtra. And so that deliverance of Dhritarashtra, again, a few more details in that connection could have been there. So this is, and then of course, after that, then there's description of how, or rather before that, in the beginning of the third canto. So there is a description of how on his travels, then Vidura comes to the bank of the Yamuna, and there he meets Uddhav. He meets Uddhav. And then what was that conversation between Uddhav and Vidura? And then how Uddhav sends Vidura to Maitreya. So all this is a part of his travel. Correct? All this is part of his travel. Now coming to the next person, that is Shukdev Goswami. Now Shukdev Goswami, what was his travel? After as soon as he was born, then he immediately left to forest. Correct? And then afterwards, then there is description. Okay, then he became devotee. After that, there is description of how Shukdev Goswami, he is traveling before he reaches Parikshit Maharaj. Then he is followed by some women and children. And then on the way, there are those ladies bathing in the pond. And what was their response to seeing Shukdev Goswami? And then there was Vyasadeva who was following. And you know that entire pastime, right? So that's a part of his travel. Correct? That's a part of his travel. And then how Shukdev Goswami, he would go to any place, he would stay. How much time he would stay?
Milking of the
Yes,
cow.
only as much time as the milking of cow. And there again, Srila Prabhupada gives some very important purports, very important lessons, especially for those in the renounced order. How those in the renounced order should not be attracted by the opulence of wealthy householders and things like that. So that's all a part of his travel before he comes to Parikshit Maharaj. Now coming to Narad Muni. Now what are Narad Muni's travels? Now his travel began when? Yes. After his mother died, then his travel began. And then there is that whole description of where all he traveled. And again there Srila Prabhupada gives some very important lessons in his purports there. especially again for the renounced order. Why should a person in the renounced order travel? What is the purpose? Mm. So all that comes in his travels, and then of course finally then he sat down on the tree. He had the vision of the Supreme Lord. So that is a part of his travel. And then of course then after he becomes Narad Muni, he travels for the benefit of all. That's another part. But this is this is a major part of his travel as Narada the boy. Mm. So all these are the major things that needed to be covered. Okay. So my request to everyone is that, see, if your topic is not clear, then you should at least ask as to what is to be covered. Mm. So therefore, otherwise we'll end up speculating things. So we have to ask if things are not clear. Either you take a topic which is very clear to you as to what you're supposed to present. If it's not clear, then you should at least find out. So of course the other day you did ask me, and then I mentioned that yes, everything is there in the book. I mentioned like that. So but if it was still not clear, then you should have clarified further as to exactly what is expected. So these are all the things that are there within the first 3 cantos of the Bhagavatam, which needed to be actually covered. And so as far as all the other, you took a lot of trouble, Prabhupada's lecture and this and that. Of course, those, so much detail was not required from Prabhupada's lecture. A little bit, few references is fine, but not so much. So I'm describing all this for the benefit of everyone, that if something is not clear, then one should clarify what is expected, what is not expected. So all this is part of the travel of saintly persons and these 3 personalities that have been mentioned. So otherwise, definitely you have prepared a lot of things, and you presented very nicely. Your way of speaking and the flow and everything is very nice. At the same time, we should be very clear as to what is the content that is expected. So thank you very much for your endeavors to come up with this presentation. Let's show appreciation. Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Any comments?
After hearing this, I'm just thinking, Prabhuji, like you may correct me, that I'm just feeling that I think there is, if like there is so much to cover, then I think one at a time I think may go good, in case if we wish to include all the shlokas, like all that part of the travel, or just briefly describe them.
See, there are a few important aspects which are very important, right? Just like I mentioned a few examples in those travels. One thing is what he did in the travels, talking about Vidura. That's one thing, which Srila Prabhupada describes in his purports, important lessons for all of us. Second thing is I spoke about the sensitivity. Then the third thing is his deliverance of Dhritarashtra. Then another important point is his meeting of Uddhav and what he did with Uddhav. Then the point of Maryada Vyatikrama, and then going to Maitreya. These are significant points. So we don't have to describe all the details, but these are significant aspects of those travels which need to be highlighted. So in any topic, things could be very vast. So it's not that everything needs to be covered, but we should know what are the important aspects which need to be covered, which need to be highlighted, right? So again, in the case of Narad Muni, we told you of the travels and what's the purpose of. There are some very important purports there. So those aspects which are important both from personal application point of view, preaching application, and then of course talking about Srila Prabhupada's travels and his delivering the conditions also. So there are important aspects which need to be highlighted. There could be so many things, but we should know what is important and what is to be highlighted. So time is always going to be limited. So we should know what to pick out and highlight. All right?
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, bro.
If topic is not clear, so I was giving class in temple 2.16, and later on I gave 2.42, 43. So 42, 43 Prabhupada talks about Vedvada, Ratha, Partha, what are the different things. And there he doesn't put so much emphasis, no, this is not the thing. He just mentioned about in 216 it was very clear. After that, we have to perform we should know our identity and all. So in such a scenario, so in 2.40 to 43, like in one purport it's very clear where is it taking, but there it is like Vedvada Ratha Partha, it's there only. So how to conclude in such a scenario? Like should we take it out of the purport and bring it to like I took it to 15.15 to 20, like Vedesha Sarvehama Vedya, what is the goal of Veda, and that I ended. So in such a scenario, what to be done? So that's what you mentioned about vast topic, and if it's not no clarity, then yeah, so what should we do? That's the question.
So see, there could be now of course in this case it was a vast topic. Okay, now you're talking about another scenario where it is a Bhagavad Gita class where you have a specific verse on which you're supposed to speak. So there in that case, one thing is we need to speak about the verse itself, right? The verse per se, important words in the verses, what do they indicate, what can we learn from them? That's one aspect. The second aspect is the purport, okay, the purport itself. Now, when we prepare for a class, what do? We take an important aspect or an important theme from purport. Now we are discussing about a Bhagavad Gita class or a Bhagavatam class, right? On a specific verse. This topic is a different context because there things are big topic vast. But in a case of a verse, then it's the other extreme, right? Things are limited. So then in that case, we have to take the theme from that particular purport and verse, and then have cross references from other parts of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where that particular theme is covered, and that is how we prepare for a class. Right? So because sometimes the purport may be very small, and there may not be something very substantial right in the purport, but definitely there is a theme. There is a theme in the verse or in the purport. There is definitely one important theme. And so then we have to see where else in Shastra that particular theme has been covered. There could be examples, there could be analogies, there could be pastimes in connection to that. Just like to give you one example. You can see Bhogeshwari Prasaktanam, and you see the purport to that. It is very short. It's very short purport. Or even this one, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yone yevate. You see that? Very short purport. But then again, but you can take the theme of just like in the morning he presented. So somebody is attached to bhoga, aishwarya. Then there's so many examples in the Bhagavatam. And then we take those examples, elaborate on them, and that's how we prepare a class. Right? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So who's presenting tomorrow? Who's presenting tomorrow?
Hare Krishna. So Chaitanya Jeevan Prabhu is tomorrow morning, first slot, 11 o'clock. Then 11:45 Nalini Kanta Prabhuji. Then 12:45 Rama Govinda Prabhuji. Rama Govinda Prabhuji event, maybe preparing. Vishnu Tattva Prabhuji 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. 3:15 Vrajamandal Prabhuji. Prabhuji 3:15 tomorrow evening. And 4 o'clock our Rama Govinda Prabhu Bhagavatam verse presentation. Bhagavatam verse presentation. Anji, I talked to him. I gave the verse, so he was looking, okay, I'll just confirm in the tomorrow evening, because 6th June, last day evening, 4 o'clock, there will be Sri Krishna Govind Prabhu's presentation on Bhagavatam verse. Like that, 4 o'clock. 6, both days 6 presentations. But we'll be completing by 4:30 only, no extra time. 4:30, 4:35 like that. Both days, even with 6 presentations like that.